Om Jnanatamandasya Granjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmalatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with a shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita from chapter 10, entitled The Opulence of the Absolute, text 8. So this is the beginning of the 4 seed verses, 4 essential verses, this one, and then the next 3 after this, 9, 10, 11. Very important knowledge. Prabhupada explains sometimes that the most important subjects in the Bhagavad Gita are covered in the middle 6 chapters. So from chapter 7 till chapter 13, the middle chapters. So yeah, the very important knowledge here in the 10th chapter. And as we read in text 7, the previous verse, one who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. So this, you could say, is the cause of devotional service in one sense. That people get knowledge about Krishna to understand who is God, that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and all of his opulences and powers and everything like that. Like we've talked about, 6 opulences. He's got unlimited beauty, unlimited strength, unlimited wealth, unlimited knowledge, unlimited fame, unlimited renunciation, like that. So when one is factually convinced that Krishna is God, the most opulent person, then naturally, automatically, one surrenders and engages in devotional service. So why is someone not serving Krishna? That's because they don't know. They're ignorant. They're ignorant of these things. They're not aware, they're not conscious that Krishna is so beautiful, that he's so powerful, that he can protect them, he can maintain them, and all these kind of things. So all this knowledge is very important. So that will be the natural consequence or the natural result of one's developing this knowledge about Krishna. Then naturally one will eventually surrender and engage in devotional service like that. So yeah, this knowledge is so important, so important. And Krishna's saying in that text 7, of this there is no doubt. So there's no doubt that if one gets this knowledge, fully convinced of this knowledge, then definitely the result will be they engage in devotional service. And that's why, Prabhupada, his main mission, you could say, was to expand the book distribution. Now, Prabhupada was always talking about the distribution of his books. So why was that so important to Prabhupada, the distribution of books? Because if he knew that if people read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ishopanishad, Nectar of Devotion, all the books he did, Beyond Birth and Death, Perfection of Yoga, big books, small books. He knew that if they read these books, then they would become convinced that Krishna's God, and then they would serve Krishna like that. So, in maximum number of devotees, how did they become devotees? Is after reading Prabhupada's books. After reading Prabhupada's books. Yes, Deepa.
There are some of us who we believe before we, before we see, we believe, believe it before you see it. And then there are others will believe it when I see it, that kind of, so it's the humility when we say, whether someone is convinced or not, or believe or accept, it's based on the humility of the person rather than, so it's different strokes kind of thing.
Yeah, I
lot
mean,
of people
in Western society, we put a lot of emphasis on seeing. That if we see something, then we'll accept it, then we'll believe in it. But in the Eastern culture, more emphasis is put on hearing. That hearing is more important. And I don't know if you remember when we first started that soul searching seminar. There was a group of you there in the Bhakti tree. Then is that what we called it? Did we call it soul searching, or that was something else? That seminar we did for about I don't know, soul searching Saturday.
Yeah.
We did the PowerPoint. I don't know if you remember. We did the PowerPoint presentations in the main room, not when we went out the back, and we did that for a couple of years.
I wasn't there at the start. I think
you weren't
Deepa
there at the
was
start.
though.
Oh,
No.
Deepa was there.
Yeah.
Okay. But we did PowerPoint presentations and everything. And one of those presentations was that, and we've talked about this before, that every conditioned soul has 4 defects. And one of them is that we have imperfect senses. So yeah, the eyes are one of the senses. And they're not actually very good at getting knowledge. And with the example given is you see the sun in the sky, and it looks like just a 50-cent piece in the sky. But actually, we don't believe that it's the size of a 50-cent piece, do we? Because we've heard from our teachers, we've heard from the scientists that the sun is millions of miles wide. So even there we can see that we don't accept what we see, but we accept what we hear. So, hearing from an authority is the best way to get scientific knowledge of a subject, to understand a subject. But there's different levels of authority. So the idea is, like we said, every conditioned soul has 4 defects. So one of them is we have imperfect senses. Another one is we make mistakes. And another one we're subject to illusion. And the final one is that we have a cheating propensity. So this is a problem, you go and hear from the scientists, but they have a cheating propensity. So they don't really know themselves. They're just speculating. And they'll say that, it all started from a big bang and we came from, our ancestors were monkeys and we evolved from monkeys and so forth. So that's completely nonsense. We don't accept that at all. So that's the cheating propensity coming through. They don't really know, but they're still talking. Actually, if you don't know, you shouldn't say. If someone asks you a question and you're not 100% sure of the answer, what should you say? If someone asks you a question on a subject and you're not 100% sure what the truth is, what should you say?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know. But they won't say that. They'll just concoct something in their, like Prabhupada used the term fertile brain, and their fertile brain, their fertile imagination. Or he used the word mental concoction. Mental concoction, fertile brain, mental speculation. So you'll often hear those words used when you read the books. Mental speculation, mental concoction, fertile brain. So then that's that cheating propensity. We don't really know what the answer is, but we still talk, like we do, like we're an authority, but actually we're not. So what's the solution then? If you really want to find out the truth, you can't do it with your eyes. You can't even follow some, ordinary authority. So what is the way out? So then the scriptures say that, like in the Mahabharata, there's a verse that explains that, trying to remember the Sanskrit. Takao pratista shrutiyo vimina nasa vrisyasya matam nabinam dhamasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajana yaina gata sapanta. So what that means is, if you want to find the tattva, the truth of Dharma, what is the real religious principles? If you want to find the real truth of religious principles, then Tako Pratishta Shrutiyo Vivina. So that means Tako Pratishta. Tarka means arguments. So that's what scientists and scholars and philosophers, they love doing, is just arguing amongst themselves. And they'll say, no, my conclusion is the right one. And the other one will say, no, you're wrong. I'm right. My conclusion is the right one. I know the answer. No, you don't. No, I've got the right answer. So they're all arguing. So using logic and everything like that, and then they'll have some arguments and they'll have a debate. This is very common. They'll have some debates in the learned circles of philosophers and so forth. And they go round and round in circles and they don't come to any real conclusion. And they all, ridicule each other's points and try to establish their own ones. And none of them are right, actually. But so that's saying by arguments, Tako Pratishta. That means it's not fixed. No argument is fixed. It's always changing. And you'll notice that, right? The scientists will come up with one theory, and then a year later, they have another theory. And then another year later, another one, and then another one, another one. It's not fixed. But is the truth like that? Is the truth always changing every minute, every hour, every month, every year, every decade? The truth is always truth. In the past it was truth, in the present it's truth, in the future it's truth. So if it's not fixed, it's saying, oh no, that theory, we've come up with a better theory. That means it wasn't the truth before and it's not the truth now. So it's never fixed. The truth is fixed. It's like the sun is fixed, right? It always comes up on the east and always sets on the west. And you know where it'll be in the middle of the day, right high in the sky, like that. It was doing that 1,000,000 years ago. It's doing it now. It'll do it another 1,000,000 years. So that's the truth. This is what we want. But through some arguments from our tiny brains, is always changing. This is not going to find out the truth that way. Shrutiyo vibina. Even through studying the scriptures, like the Vedas or any scriptures, the Buddhism or Bible or Quran, or even the Vedic Puranas and Upanishads and everything. Even by studying all those books, you're not going to figure out the truth, because Vibhina means many divisions, many compartments. So there will be many different scriptures, and they all promoting different things. So how do you know which is the best one? Like part of the Vedas, it's called Karma Kanda. So that's promoting the worship of demigods for the purpose of going to heaven, Swarga, right? And those scriptures will say this is the best thing. The best thing is to do this yagyas, sacrifices and fruitive activities to go to heaven, and you'll enjoy with beautiful women and drink somaras and everything. And you'll read another part of the Vedas, and it's in the compartment of Jnana Kanda, and that's promoting mental speculation, jnana, mental speculation. And so all the scholars and philosophers will be, speculating on the Vedanta Sutra and everything. And the goal of that promoted is to merge with God, is to merge and become one, to get the realization that you are one with everything and like that. And then, then there's Upasana Kanda, which is recommending to worship different deities, Upasana Kanda. So how do you know which is the right one? There's so many different divisions and they're all saying different things. And if you read the Shiva Purana, it'll indicate that maybe Shiva is the supreme. If you read the Durga Purana, one it'll recommend that Durga is the supreme. So it's very, very bewildering. So you can't figure it out even by studying books. So Nasav Risir Yasya Matam Nalinam. The rishis, the sages, you can't even figure out the truth from the sages, because the sages also, they'll always have a different philosophy than another sage, because otherwise who's going to recognize them? I am, the sage Abhayam, I am sage Abhayam, and I have my particular philosophy like that. And I'll make sure it's different than other sages. Otherwise, who's going to recognize the Abhayam? You know, if I say the same thing as every other sage, then no one's going to notice me. You know, so where's my recognition? There's no recognition. So every sage will have a slightly different philosophy than any other sage, you know. Someone will say Yatamat Tatamat, Yatamat Tatapat, that there are many ways to God, you know, many paths, and they all go to the same result, the same destination. Doesn't matter which path you take, you'll achieve the same destination that was promoted by Vivekananda. But that's a complete load of rubbish. But anyway, that's his presentation, you know, and people recognize him for that he promoted this Yadumat Tatapat. Many paths, many ways, and they're all going to achieve the same result like that. And someone will say something completely different like that. So also, you're not going to come to any conclusion just by hearing from different rishis, sages. So what do? So if you really want to know the Dharmasya Tattvam, the truth of religious principles, then Nihitam Guhyam means it's very confidential. It's very confidential, and it's hidden in the heart of the Mahajan. Maha means great, Jan, like we have Maha Mantra, the great mantra. So Mahajan, Jan means person, like we have Janananda. You know, so Jana means person, and you know, and Ananda means bliss. So he's the bliss of the people, gives bliss to the people, and he is a blissful person. You know, so like that. So, but Mahajan means great person. So that the truth and this of religious principles is kept secretly in the heart of the great personality, the Mahajan. And like there's 12 Mahajans mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 12 Mahajans who know the truth and can reveal it to us. Swayambur Narada Shambhu Pralado Janako Bhishma Kumara Kapila Manu Swayambur Balir Vyasakir Vyam. Okay. So that's Swayambur. He is the first of the Mahajan mentioned. It's not particular order, it doesn't matter what the order is. Swayambur means Brahma. That's another name for Lord Brahma. Swayambur actually means he is self-born. It means he doesn't have a mother. Brahma was born from the lotus navel of Vishnu, so he doesn't have a mum. Very unique. He's like the only person in the material world that doesn't have a mother like that, Swayambur. So he's self-born without any mother. So that Lord Brahma, he's a Mahajan. He can reveal, he knows the truth. He can reveal it to us. Narada Muni. Shambhu, Lord Shiva. Kumara, the four Kumaras. They are four of the early children of Lord Brahma, great sages. So the four Kumaras, Kumara, Kapila Dev. He's an incarnation of the Lord. He appeared, his mother was Devahuti, famous mother Devahuti. So he's a Mahajan. Manu. So the father of mankind is called Manu. So the very first man was born from Lord Brahma. His name was Swayambhuva Manu. And every day of Lord Brahma, there's 14 Manus. So those Manus, they know the truth of religious principles. So they teach the truth to the next one. So Swayambhuva Manu will teach it to the next one. And like that, now we have Vaivashvata Manu is ruling the universe. Vaivashvata Manu, he's the father of mankind. And he is the son of the sun god, Vivashvan. So this Manu, and that's mentioned in the beginning of the 4th chapter. That's saying that, in the beginning of the 4th chapter is saying that, we can just quickly read that verse, 4th chapter. Yeah, very first verse. One of you like to read it when you find it?
The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vyasas. I can't say.
Vivasvan. It's a tongue twister, isn't it? Vivasvan.
Vivasvan.
Yep.
And Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to
Ikshvaku. Another tongue twister, Ikshvaku. Yeah, so this is the current Manu, is the son of the sun god, and Manu's son is Ikshvaku. So this is the disciplic succession, the parampara. So that's how the knowledge is passed down like that. Is passed down like that. And then Prahlad Maharaj, he's a Mahajan. Prahlado, Janak Maharaj. Janak is the father of Sita Devi. So you know from the Ramayana that Sita Devi's father was Janak Maharaj. So Janak knows the truth of religious principles. And Bhishma. So Bhishma Dev, the grandfather of the Kuru dynasty, mentioned in the Mahabharata, you know, the background to the Bhagavad Gita. And Arjuna mentions in the first chapter that how can he kill his respectable grandfather Bhishma? You know, how can he do that like that? So Bhishma knows the truth of religious principles. And then Vyasakya, there's a famous actually Prabhupada disciple who's a wonderful kirtanier, he's still living, and a wonderful musician kirtanier, beautiful voice. Vyasaki is his name, Vyasaki. So he's named after this original Vyasaki, which is Shukadeva Goswami. So as we know, Shukadeva Goswami spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So that was Shukadeva spoke to Parikshit Maharaj. And why is Shukadeva Goswami also known as Vyasaki? Because Shukadeva Goswami is the son of Vyasadeva. So from the word Vyasadeva, you get Vyasaki. So the son of Vyasadeva is Vyasaki. Vyasadeva, son, Vyasaki, which is the name of Shukadeva Goswami, like that. Like Krishna. Well, Krishna is Krishna, but he's also known as Nandana. So the son of Nanda, right? So often the child's name will be connected to the parent's name, right? He's also known as, what's some other Krishna's names related to his parents? Vasudeva. So one of Krishna's names, Vasudeva, because his son was Vasudev, short A. So the short A in the father's name, Vasudev. So the son of Vasudev is Vasudev, like that. What's some other of Krishna's names connected with his parents' name? Yashoda Nandana. And we said Nandana. There's more. He had another two sets. He had another set of parents. Devaki Nandana, Jayanti said. And, you know, and Vasudeva, like I said. So it's known as Vasudeva Nandan or Vasudeva, like that. So yeah, often the child's names connect with the parent's name. So yeah, Shukadeva Goswami, he knows the truth of religious principles. And this particular verse in the 5th canto Bhagavatam is spoken by Yamaraj, the Lord of Death. So he says, Vyam means me too. I'm also a Mahajan. You know, so those are the 12 Mahajans given there. So this is the real way to understand the truth, is by hearing from the Mahajans. And even if we're hearing from someone that's not one of those 12, but if it's been passed down in the disciplic succession, like mentioned here in the first verse of the 4th chapter, that Manu is a Mahajan, right? So it had been passed down from him to his son Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku passed it down, blah, 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 and we're coming down the line like that. So actually our disciplic succession does not come from Manu. You know where it comes from? Because that succession got broken, and that was mentioned in the 2nd verse of the 4th chapter. Krishna mentions there that succession got broken, that succession from Manu. But which succession, disciplic succession, are we in? Which Mahajan are we connected with of the 12?
I've never
Are you going
really
to
thought
speculate,
about
or
it
do you know?
because
You should say, if you
no,
don't know,
I
you
don't
can say, I
know.
don't know.
I don't know because I'm looking. All I've ever really heard about is this disciplic succession that is at the start of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, so that's it. That's it.
So
That's it. So
we
if we
were
go to the
actually
start of the Bhagavad Gita.
talking. Yeah, we were actually talking about this
About it.
yesterday in our reading group, and
Mm.
that's the only. So when you're mentioning all these, what do you call them,
Mahajans.
Mahajan.
Mahajans? I'm looking in this, thinking, well, where are they in this? Why aren't they in this? So I'm confused.
Yeah, okay. But so it's the end of the introduction, the last
Yeah.
page, just before
Yes.
chapter 1 begins.
Yeah.
Just before chapter 1 begins, the end of the introduction, it gives the disciplic session.
Yeah.
And referring to the second verse of the 4th chapter that I mentioned. So number 2 is Brahma, so it's a Mahajan. So there you go. So we've got the Mahajan. And how does the Mahajan become a Mahajan? How does the Mahajan get to know the truth of religious principles? Because he's heard it from God. So all these 12 people have heard it from God, the truth. They've heard it from God. And so number 1 is Krishna. Well, he's God. He obviously knows what the truth is because he's God, right? So that's the best place to find out the truth, is to hear from God. And so Brahma is a direct disciple of God, of Krishna. So Brahma, and also the third person is also another Mahajan. So you got 2 Mahajans right there, Brahma and Narada, in our line, like that. So 2 out of the 12 are in our disciplic succession, like that. So we're definitely, so that in that way, what we're speaking now is the truth, if we just repeat what we've heard in disciplic succession. And Prabhupada is also repeating what he said in disciplic succession, and that's why he's called the Bhagavad Gita as it is. So he hasn't changed anything. As soon as you change the truth, it's not the truth anymore. So you don't change it like that. So Prabhupada's mentioned here is number 32 in that disciplic session. Lord Chaitanya is number 22 mentioned there. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, the eye, as Deepa said initially, yeah, the eyes are hopeless for trying to, saying seeing is believing, that's a load of rubbish. We don't agree with seeing is believing. However, what we would say, and we can look at that 9th chapter, text number 2. 9 chapter 2, text number 2.
9, 2.
Very important verse, big purport. Can read that?
This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is full.
So particularly relevant to what we're talking about is where it says pratyaksha vagamam dhamyam, which is pratyaksha means by direct experience. Basically, aksha means eyes. Aksha means eyes. So with your own eyes, pratyaksha, you can experience God. You can see God. So by the process of bhakti, you can come to the point where you can see God, and 100% there's not going to be any doubt then, is there? If you've actually seen God. So the ultimate perfection of this process of bhakti yoga is bringing us to the point where you can see God. But that's not the beginning of the process. That's the end of the process, where you can get to the point where you can see God eye to eye. Prabhupada said that you can see God eye to eye when you become a perfect lover of God, and you can embrace Krishna. You can put a garland around Krishna. You can massage Krishna. You can put food in Krishna's mouth, like the cowherd boys are popping morsels of food directly in Krishna's mouth. And Krishna is putting morsels of food in the cowherd boys' mouths like that. So that's such an intimate personal relationship. And, you know, face to face, eye to eye, everything like that. And so, yeah, definitely we can get to the point where we can see God. But in the beginning, our eyes are not purified enough to be able to see God, you know. And as Prabhupada pointed out, you can't even see anything around you when the sun goes down. So how dependent we are. You know, even when the sun goes down, you can't see. You can't even see the tip of your nose, the closest thing to your eye, you can't even see. And something hundreds of miles away, you can't see that. So if it's very far away, you can't see it. If it's very close to you, you can't see it. If something's very big, like the universe, you can't see it. If it's very small, like an atom, you can't see it. So if it's too small, you can't see. It's too big, you can't see. It's too far away, it's too close, like that. You get the idea. Our eyes are so imperfect, these material eyes. However, if we can become purified, by engaging in devotional service, we can get to the point where Krishna reveals himself to the devotee, and then we can, like I said, see each other face to face like that. Does that make sense, Deepa? Are you there, Deepa? Your picture's frozen. Hare Krishna? Your voice is breaking up, Deepa, and your picture's frozen. I don't know if you have your internet a bit unpredictable today.
Yeah. I can.
Can you hear me clearly, or am I breaking up too? Because your voice is breaking up a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, Ken. Okay.
We're experiencing the same thing. You are seeing that, and I'm experiencing.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
Breaking up. You're breaking up as well. Yeah. So.
Oh no.
So it's vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bhakti must dropped off. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes her phone overheats, so she has to take it off, let it cool down. Let's see. She might turn up again. But yeah, does that clarify what you're saying about seeing is believing? So we definitely want to take the emphasis away from understanding God through seeing to understanding God through hearing from a perfect authority. But not just any authority. She has to be a perfect authority. And perfect authority means we're connected with God through the system of disciplic succession. And not also that we ourselves are perfect. We're not saying that we're perfect. We have, you know, many defects ourselves, many faults. However, if we are, and you mentioned about humility, if we are with great humility and humbleness, simply repeating what we've heard from our guru, from our spiritual master, then, as Prabhupada said, then even though I'm not perfect, but my words are perfect. So even though we're not perfect as an individual, but our words are perfect as long as we just repeat what we've heard from our authority, like that. And that's how the process of disciplic succession works. And then actually you're getting a perfect transmission of the truth, that dharmasya tattvam. You're getting the real truth of religious principles is transmitted through that disciplic succession. As long as we remain, another word is a good word to use is chaste. Just like, you know, a chaste wife is very faithful to her husband, so also a very chaste disciple very faithfully repeats the words of his spiritual master, doesn't, you know. And as soon as you speak your own concoction or whatever, then we're unchaste. Then you're being unchaste to the disciplic succession if we just concoct something up, you know, like that. Like that. Does that make sense? Do you want to say anything about that?
Actually, it's interesting. Yeah, no, it makes sense. What came to my mind, because we were talking about the 12 Mahajans,
Yeah.
And then it just reminded me like that I said it was familiar, and I just looked up that there's also 12 apostles in the Christian tradition.
True.
And I
I
thought,
have heard that. Yes.
isn't that interesting? I was just curious, and
Yeah.
I just looked. I said, how many apostles are there? And it came up with 12. And I said, oh, I
There
just
you go.
wonder, like, is that linkage or what? I'm
Could be.
curious.
Could be. Yes. I mean, originally everything's coming from the Veda
Yeah.
culture, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. But that's very safe position to be in, is just very chastely following the Mahajans, the great
Yeah.
authorities. Then we're on the the safe road. Otherwise we're tottering on the edge, and we can go off track. So if we want to stay on track, we should just very chastely follow them, and that will help us. Okay, so let's have a look at the verse for today, 10.8. We can read that. Oh, we can just read 10.8, the Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo.
Mata sarvam pravartate.
Mata sarvam pravartate.
Iti matva bhajante mam.
Iti matva bhajante mam.
Buddha bhava samanvataha.
Buddha bhava samanvita.
To read the translation, Deepa? Are you there, Deepa? I can't hear you. Hare Krishna? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, I can't hear anything. Are you there? Are you there, Hare Krishna?
I'm here. Your video. There you are. Okay. It was frozen, and then you suddenly pop. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, where did you go? Oh, now it's gone again. How about we sign out and come back in again? Let's get out and see if it improves things, huh? Because now you've completely disappeared. Okay.
Okay.
I'll come. Yeah, let's sign out and